This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Okie dokie.
Right, so what are we doing?
We're doing Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson's charm offensive in Yorkshire was just that, offensive. It was derailed as a heckler demanded he gets back to Parliament to sort out the mess that he created. And to be fair, Boris Johnson didn't create this mess. That was you-know-who. And we're still not missing you, Dave. But we know where to find you if we do. You'll be in the shed where they keep the tools.
I think this is nonsense.
Yes. Boris Johnson's charm offensive in Yorkshire was derailed as a heckler demanded that he gets back to Parliament. Everywhere Boris Johnson goes, people want him to go somewhere else.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
The PM's big speech in Rotherham was interrupted by a man who repeatedly shouted condemnation of his decision to suspend the Commons this week. As Mr. Johnson tried to set out his northern powerhouse plans for boosting the economy, a member of the audience shouted, "Maybe get back into Parliament, yes?" It's a rhetorical question. No? He says, why are you not with them in Parliament sorting out the mess you created? And the look on Boris's face. The Mail said that he was clearly discomfited. I bet it's the first time in his life he's been clearly discomfited. He's just bowled through life with the greatest of ease up to this point. The point when he gets what he's always wanted. Sometimes it's not, when you get what you want, it's not what you need. Does that sound like a Rolling Stones lyric? Get the Rolling Stones on the phone and they will sing it to us for a vast amount of money.
Rock and roll!
He said he had to stop his speech after all the heckling. He said, would you mind? I'm very happy to get back to Parliament very soon. Looking discomfited, he was. And why wouldn't he be? Why wouldn't he be happy to get back to Parliament very soon? There's no one there to criticise him. There's no one there plotting against him. There's no one there to tell him he's getting it all wrong. Because there's no one there.
Dreadful.
Later in the appearance, he gave another defence of his decision to prorogue Parliament. And I don't ever want to hear the word prorogue again. How about you? It's just such a awful word. I don't like the beginning of it or the middle part, and I particularly don't like the end. Prorogue. Anyway, he defended his decision to cancel Parliament, saying he wanted a Queen's speech so he could push through new legislation this month. So, that's why he cancelled Parliament.
Liar!
Is what some people are saying. They're saying...
Liar!
And when Boris Johnson was in that strange land for him called the North, he did a walkabout in Doncaster town centre.
Warning, warning.
That's never going to go well. What you're thinking of, Boris? They hate you up there. As in, outside London. I mean, you might think that this could not possibly go well, a walkabout in Doncaster town centre for Boris Johnson. And if that's what you think, you would be completely correct in every respect. He was accosted by a nice lady who said he had cheek claiming austerity is over when people were dying. Boris Johnson said austerity was over. You know, if only the Labour Party had not been in power these last 10 years, this country would be in a much better position than it is. Oh, no, wait a minute, that's right. They haven't been. Only someone with the cheek of the Conservative... By the way, is there anybody in there? Or am I doing the show on my own? There's no one there. Normally, by this time, someone has waltzed in next door. So I guess I'll just carry on. Like the Mary Celeste in here. If I don't mention it, no one will notice. It could be one of those screw-ups that, they forgot to put someone in the rota. Everyone's left the building. I'm on my own. Anyway, where was I? Was it where he was being accosted by a nice lady who had the cheek of claiming austerity is over? Yeah, I think that's exactly where I was. People are dying over there, she said. Only someone with the cheek of the Conservative Party would say that the answer to the problems caused by the Conservative Party is the Conservative Party. Please disregard everything we've done over the last 10 years. It weren't us. This country was like that when we got here. So austerity being over is having a 3% pay rise over 3 years after 10 years of nothing at all. Yeah, thanks a lot, Boris. That'll fix it. Maybe he means that for him and his well-heeled chums, austerity is over, as in never having started in the first place. In Leeds last week, he was asked why he wasn't busy in the EU trying to negotiate a Brexit deal. By the way, hey, Teresa, we're still not missing you either. God, we'll add you to the huge list of people we're not missing at the moment. But I bet she wakes up laughing these days. In Leeds last week, he was asked, why aren't you in the EU instead of mucking about here in Leeds? I mean, I know it's got a Harvey Nicks, and that reminds you of London, but get out of my town. That was priceless. He came up, shook his hand and said, will you please leave my town? So it's not easy for Boris Johnson outside SW1, is it? During his trip to Doncaster Market, the Prime Minister was told by one woman, people have died because of austerity. And then you got the cheek to come here and tell us austerity is over and it's all good now. We're going to leave the EU and everything is going to be great. It's just a fairy tale, she said. And Mr. Johnson mumbled.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
He said he was putting a lot of investment into public services, which sounds to me like, don't question me, peasant. But I might have that wrong. Oh, yeah, well, don't worry about a thing. We're going to put money into it. We got no end of money in this country because of all the, over the last 10 years, we've made an enormous amount of money with, yeah, that's right, we ain't got no money at all. And he's chucking it around like a drunken sailor. What could possibly go wrong? 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. I want to talk about Boris and Nigel. Boris and Uncle Nige. Nigel is trying to get with Boris, but Boris has Boris's heart is with someone else. So I'll come to that, and also the Yellowhammer thing. I want to talk about Melania's coat dress, whatever that thing was that she was wearing, and plenty else besides. Well, it looks like we're fully staffed now. It's a miracle. I'm so happy. I'm fit to burst. 0345 6060 973. Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC. LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
Everything is going extremely well.
You bet your life it is. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's probably true that you're wasting your life. Let's have a call in Muswell Hill. First off, Stephen.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm through. Fantastic. Well, Nick, good evening.
Yes, Stephen.
Well, Nick, you were having a little go at the Conservatives earlier about...
I know. It's unforgivable. What have they done to deserve that?
I loved your attitude.
Thanks.
Who did this? Who did this? Who did that? Let's go right back, just before we
Way
go
back,
any further.
back into time.
About austerity.
Yeah, go ahead.
We talk about austerity.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we have austerity, Nick? Why? Just answer me that. What happened when the Labour left government? They left a little note in a box saying, "Oh, guess what? All the coffers have gone."
Yes. Why did they do that?
They actually had a laugh.
Yes, but why did they do? Why did they do that?
It was funny, Nick.
Liam Byrne. Why did he have to write that note, Stephen? Why was there no money?
Well, to be honest, that's a good question I can't answer.
Well, it's a perfectly simple answer to a perfecly simple question. I mean, can you cast your mind back to what was happening just before that event?
Well, bear with me 1 second. Whoops, it is. Yes, there was a thing called...
Stephen, you're not walking and talking at the same time, are you?
I'm trying my best.
Oh my God, you're in great danger. Do one or the other.
Warning, warning.
Oh, go on then. I've settled down.
Now, I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear you being run over by a car while I'm talking to you, because that would ruin my day.
However, it would be a first, Nick. Come on, let's be fair.
Well, yeah, it would be a first, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing.
No, not necessarily. But then again,
eating razor blades would be a first for me, but it's not at the top of my to-do list.
I've tried it, Nick. It doesn't work. Now, but come on. So Labour walk away from a failed leadership, a failed.
Oh, Stephen, please. What are you talking about? The reason that there was no money, that the £40 billion was added to the national debt, was because the bankers, who I bet were conservative to a man, crashed the world's economy. That's the reason that there was no money, and that is the reason that there's still no money. All these years later, we still haven't paid any of it back. The amount that we owe is still going up, and people seem to treat that as though it never happened. What are you talking about? It wasn't the Labour Party that did it. It was the bankers that did it. I bet every single one of them voted Conservative. Well, I mean, let's face it, if you're earning six figures a year, you'd have to be you'd have to be acting out with your best interests if you voted for any other party, because they're much more likely to let you keep more of your money to the detriment of the rest of us. But anyway, Stephen, better luck next time. Talk about selective memory. That's ridiculous. This says, did you see Donald Trump saying that he appears to be... Yeah, yes, I did. Yeah, Donald Trump is orange because of new energy-saving light bulbs.
Oh, shut up!
Yeah, it has nothing to do with that makeup that one of his assistants trowels onto him on a daily basis. It must be an inch thick. You can barely see him behind that pancake. It's remarkable I didn't think he was that self-aware. I mean, I guess that if somebody watches television all day long in the hope of hearing something nice about himself, then you're going to hear people call you orange. I mean, I must have about 10 different names for him. I've got Baby Tornado, Donito Mussolini, Trumple Thinskin, the Screaming Mimi, the Tangerine Scream. Here we get into the orange ones. Ancient Orange, Jaffa the Hutt, which is my personal favourite, and Jesus Trump Superstar. Only some of those have anything to do with orange, but I'm surprised that he even knew. Because I think, when we talk about selective hearing, he only hears the good things about him. He only hears that he's a great guy.
He's a great guy. He's a good guy. He's a good person.
Is what he says to himself in the mirror every morning, after the 3 hours that it takes to make his hair do that, whatever the hell that is. That's why nobody ever sees him before midday. Oh, he tweets before midday, all right. I think he gets up at 5 a.m. to start Twitter fights with, models and actors and, all that important stuff that a president of the United States of America has to busy himself with. The leader of the free world. Picking Twitter fights with I don't know, with the large women and tall women and women with dark skin and women mostly. But yes, I did see that. Donald Trump saying that he appears to be orange because of different light bulbs. Yeah, that's right, Donnie. Peter says Gordon Brown was such a bad chancellor, he left this country in a financial mess. As usual, that's what Labour does, wreck the country. Have you people lost your minds? Labour didn't wreck the country, the banks wrecked the country. Don't you recall what was going on at the time? Labour weren't acting in a vacuum. They were desperately trying to stop the world from falling flat in its face. Because right-wingers in the banks caused catastrophe. To blame Labour at the time for that problem is insane. That's just a desperate attempt to apportion the blame for anything. And I refer you back to the last 10 years of this country have been run by the Conservative Party, who now are telling us that the only person or the only party to deal with all the problems caused by the Conservative Party is the Conservative Party. Because, that makes sense. Please disregard anything that we've done in the last 10 years. It wasn't us. I mean, I know that the world has been split down the middle between... what is it actually between? Is it the haves and the have-nots? I mean, because that was always a split. But the gap between them seems to be getting wider, even though we're trying... The people who are the uppermost of the haves list are trying to persuade us that the gap is narrowing. No, it ain't. No, it's not. Go outside SW1 and tell me that the gap is narrowing. No, it isn't. It's actually getting worse, and the ability of people to yank themselves out of their poverty is also becoming more difficult. Partly, I would suggest, because of something else that was in the news today. The Labour Party are again private schools, which are called public schools for some weird reason. Why do we do that? It's the opposite of that. It's not public, they're private. It's that, I mean, look at the blooming cabinet. They're absolutely stuffed to the gills with people that either went to Eton or Harrow. Harrow? Coincidence? Let's have Pimlico. Hello, Alex.
Alex in Pimlico. Good evening to you, Nick.
Good evening to you, Alex.
I want to remain friends, and I love your show, and I love you, but I want to just start at the start of the show, Nick.
Yes.
You said something along the lines of Boris up north, they don't like him up there, they hate him, or something, which may not be factually true or correct. And I refer you to what I'm looking at on the interweb right this second, that in Rotherham, the Leave vote was 67.9% of a turnout of 69%.
Yeah. What's that got to do with Boris Johnson?
Well, I say to you, young Nick, that in fact in Rotherham, it was a good move to be in Rotherham because that is his core audience.
No, it isn't.
Vis-a-vis?
Vis-a-vis? That sounds like filthy foreign talk to me, Alex.
Well...
Vis-a-vis.
Come on, Nick. Come on, back to me.
That's nonsense. I've never heard anything like it in my life. Just because Boris Johnson happens to have picked, for the benefit of his career, one side of an argument, doesn't mean to say that anybody that happens to agree with that side of the argument also likes Boris Johnson.
But there was only two people that were shouting at him, and everyone else is saying, we're Bob, bored of Brexit, get on with it,
they were throwing roses. Yeah, that's right.
Well, roses, I'm not sure about roses, Nick.
Kisses. They were throwing kisses. They wanted to give him a great big kiss. Moi. Tell him that they love him. Tell him that they care. Tell him that he'll always be there. Was that first called Chris Moyles, by the way?
Do you think?
And just about halfway through, I thought, that voice sounds familiar. Because he has a history of calling in my show. Not here, I don't think. I haven't spotted him here, but in another place where I used to play Ersatz Rock and Roll.
Rock and roll!
He used to do that a lot. Was that you, Chris? You're a very naughty boy. Maybe not. He's probably got better things to do on like this time of night. Bob's sleeping, I would imagine, given that he has to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Not that he would complain about it. Hey, Chris.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Shailesh. How do you say that?
Shailesh.
Says David Cameron had promised a referendum in his manifesto.
Liar!
He delivered. Why is he being blamed for keeping his promise? I am confused. Well, he shouldn't have blooming promised it in the first place. That's why he's being blamed. Silly Prime Minister. It's way too complicated an issue to leave up to us drooling... what's a nice way of saying dopes? We do not have the brain power to figure that out, as is evidenced on a daily basis by people calling in on this show, as they will, between now and 1 o'clock, and they'll say the stupidest things, and then follow it by saying, But I'm not stupid. Linda says, hello, dear Nick. Thank God you're still here helping us get through this unbelievably, outrageously incongruous mess, which is way too many syllables. You lost me at us. Chris says, I remember my mum telling me years ago that when Labour get into power, people take their money out of the country. Well, here's a good idea. Don't let them take their money out of the country. Take their money off them and put them in prison. Unless that is a controversial thing to say, in which case I withdraw it. Darryl says, I think no one is there because LBC have been prorogued. They just forgot to tell you. Could you turn your lights out on your way out? I always do, because I'm a good boy, I am. I'm in it to save the planet. In, small ways, but small ways add up to big ways. As opposed to the stupid idiot, now, and I mean that with the greatest respect, who is the President of the United States of America.
I'm president! Can you believe it?
Who said that, what's it with straws? Well, what about, these people with the whatabouts? Oh, we can't ban plastic straws because what about other plastic? What about plastic plates? And what about plastic wrapping? And what about this? And what about that? As though because you can't solve all of the problem in one go, then you shouldn't take even the first step towards solving the problem. Morons. Oh, we're surrounded by morons. What's that?
That's why I was late. I was with taking Jeffrey Archer out the building.
What had he done?
No, he wasn't escorting him out. He was with Andrew Pearce.
I know that. I've still, by the way, not had an invite to one of his fabulous penthouse parties. Can you believe that? And me being completely unknown to him as well. Chris says, why do the media only represent Remain when the Leave side won? Once again, we have a total liberal establishment stitch-up of the people, with 6 question marks and 5 exclamation marks. But he's not stupid. What are you talking about, Chris? That's that selective attention again. I think that you'll find that the media also includes newspapers. And almost every newspaper sold in this country, well, not every, but the vast majority of newspapers sold in this country are dementedly in favour of Brexit. What you mean, Chris, is that you once heard something you disagreed with on the radio and you've thrown all your toys out of the pram. And Des in Barnet says, Nick, no one dies of starvation in the UK. That's why criminals cross the channel to get here. Are you not more concerned that Jeremy Corbyn's Irish Republican leanings, how quick you forget the bloody massacres by the Provos, yet all you can do is talk about Trump and Boris? Des in Barnet. For every Corbyn's Republican leanings, there's a Conservative Conservative government who are selling weapons of mass destruction to countries in the Gulf who are using it to bomb hospitals. So I will do that thing that the right wing always do, and I'll what about you, Des? Never mind about Jeremy Corbyn meeting with Irish Republicans. What about sending bombs and bullets and weapons of mass destruction and torture implements to Saudi Arabia? What about that? 0345 6060 973. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbot, LBC. The news headlines at 10:30 with Serena Farrow.
Former Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
It's all about Len at the moment. Len says Brown removed all the regulations and the bankers loved him. And this lot are no better. Rich boys love to bet it's someone else's money? Question mark. Does that make sense? Rich boys love to bet. Rich boys love to bet it's someone else's money. No, that doesn't make sense. Rich boys love to bet it's... That doesn't make any sense. The exclamation mark at the end is what's throwing me off. I think that some people sometimes use punctuation in almost as though they just loaded a blunderbuss with the loss of it, and they just blast it at their messages. Brown did remove some regulations, but I think it was Margaret Thatcher that started the rot. Thanks a lot, Maggie. And Brown beats himself up about it. It's not your fault, Gordon. If he hadn't loosened the regulation, and, they say he loosened the regulations, and they, in much the same way as if you don't like the way massive corporations pay tax, then you should change the law. So that's going to work. They employ huge numbers of people in big, shiny buildings, actual real-life geniuses trying to figure out ways of getting around the law. Doesn't matter what you put in front of them. Unless all of humankind can act in humankind's best interests, in concert, as one, then there's nothing we can do about it. Because if Gordon Brown had to come down hard on the bankers, despite the fact that he had no idea what they were doing, because they themselves had no idea what they were doing. I mean, the amount of people in the C-suites, the chief executive of this and that and the other, from the various banking rackets, who shrugged their shoulders and said, well, I had no idea any of this was going on. I only get paid £10 million a year for my service. Why would I know what my bank is doing? They said. So Gordon Brown couldn't possibly have had any idea what was going on. A man with an ordinary-sized brain like him. And if, like I said, if he hadn't loosened the restraints, then the bankers with one voice would have said, right, that's it, we're leaving. Because there'll always be another country flashing a bit of leg and waggling their bottom at him, giving him the come on.
Disgusting.
There would always be another country that bankers could go to in order to spend more time with their money. I mean, even now, we still have got really no idea what they're doing. I bet the people who run banks haven't got any idea what's going on their trading floors. These incredibly complex, and if it's really, really complex, then it's probably really, really crooked. We get the lending the money at one interest rate, and borrowing the money at another one. We get that part. We understand how you make money doing that. But credit default swaps? What the hell are you talking about? If an ordinary numpty like me can't understand it, then it's probably crooked. Ain't that right? Mick says, are you going to be nasty all night about the Ginger Whinger orange tan? Well, why not? It's not like he's not nasty to us. He's not a very nice person.
Donald Trump is a very nice person.
Here's a call in Bodmin. Malcolm.
Oh, Nick, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Nick, you're a man of the media. I've got a riddle for you, right?
Yeah.
Riddle
me this.
Yeah, riddle me this. If you're the media manager of a prime minister.
Media manager of a prime minister, yeah. Which prime minister? Gordon Brown? Or someone else?
A little bit after him. If you're the media manager of a prime minister and you've got another prime minister starting to trash you, and it's only going to get worse,
yeah.
And that prime minister who's trashing you led your party out of the wilderness after 13 years of being absolutely nowhere, right? And kept you there for 6 years, but then made a minor boo-boo. How do you, as a prime minister's manager, begin to manage the media in order to keep your man safe?
God, I have no idea where you're going or where we've even been on that conversation. You lost me about halfway through. Who is person A and who is person B?
Well, I'm speaking about our present Prime Minister and our former Prime Minister, Prime Minister Cameron.
Yes.
And how ironic it is that the Conservative surrogates are now all over the media trashing Cameron, yeah? And if it wasn't for Cameron, they would still be obscure, I think. Do you not think? I mean, is it sad, Nick, or do you agree with me that it's the funniest thing that's happened for 9 years?
Well, it ain't boring, that's for sure. I mean, people are, I think, they may be a little frustrated with the way things have got over the last 3 years, but you can't say that politics is boring these days. I mean, we've got people throwing themselves on the Speaker of the House, to prevent him from standing up and following some woman dressed with buckles on her shoes and frilly garters. I mean, you couldn't make it up. Even Jeffrey Archer couldn't make this stuff up.
Did you see the thing he did this afternoon up north, where he was asked by a journalist about the comment he made about the police doing something up a wall, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
And he said, I never said it. Well, guy has been saying it all night. And then you've got, like I say, the former Prime Minister explaining that Gove and Johnson left the truth at home throughout the referendum
That's right.
campaign. Well,
ding, ding, hold tight. Leaving the truth behind.
When will he be taking the truth out with him again? That's what I'd like to know.
Okay, well, I'll put it to him next time I see him.
Lovely to talk to you.
All the best, Malcolm. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. I bet Boris doesn't go up north much from this moment on. He's been there and they don't like him. I bet he sticks to the south. He'll say, here we go, the south.
Here we go. Okay.
Let's stay exactly where we are. Mick says, oh no, I read that. Con says, Nick, I bet you wish you could have butted in when Andrew Pearce and Jeffrey Archer were singing Anne Widdecombe's praises. He says, I wish you'd done the impression and called in to thank them for their kind words. What impression? Let's have Twickenham. Clive.
Hello, Nick.
Oh, hello, Clive.
Oh, don't say like that.
Well, you first.
My voice may be down because I'm getting on a bit now.
Right.
So what I can say to you...
Now, what do you mean by a bit?
Well, yeah, quite a bit.
60?
No.
70?
You're joking, I remember the war.
80?
I was 7 minutes finished. So
90 years old?
38, 81.
You're 38 or 81? You can't remember? Well, whichever it is, happy birthday.
Yeah, well, you don't forget when you get to 81.
No, you do.
Well, you do.
That's exactly what happens.
A lot of people forget, but let's hope they put more money into it and get a cure for it.
What, forgetting? I think they will find a cure after it kills us, Clive. Yeah. Whatever it is that ails you, they'll find a cure for it immediately after it kills you.
Yeah, well, they will me. So I've been blind for 50 years because of since I came out of the Air Force. I won't go into that.
No.
I don't want to depress everybody, but it wasn't hereditary, and it wasn't that, so people don't have to worry. A lot of people worry when you tell them because they think, oh, God, he's like that, I could get like that. No, it's not that. It was due to when I was
okay.
But anyway, it was a treat to hear what you said just then about Gordon Brown and putting that light out there. They'd been in the papers. Remember that when they said, last person to leave, put the lights out? He didn't create the world crisis in financial crisis.
No.
No, of course he didn't. It was a very people that are in power now, the bloody Conservatives.
I bet that every single banker, in fact, I'd lay money on it. I'll bet every stitch of clothing I'm wearing at this moment, and I will leave the building without any of it on.
Disgusting.
If every single banker that was responsible for ruining the economy of this country and every other country around the world was not a Conservative voter.
Yeah. They seem to like the Conservative Party, that's for sure, because I can go right way back. Anyway, never mind. 800 million they left behind deficit. Macmillan when he handed over to Sir Alex.
Oh my God! This isn't a history lesson, is it, Clive? Oh, I can't stand it. Not history, please. Anything but that.
No, I'll leave it at that. But then it's ever since the government said, Thatcher, you mentioned her. She's a bit nearer. Well, tyrant. Never mind.
Never mind, eh? Margaret Thatcher. Just the mention of her name. Yeah.
Tea with Pinochet, and they talk about and you guarantee if there's an election soon, which I think there should be, they'll be saying the Conservatives, last time Labour were there, to all the young people who don't know, and if they're young, again, it's your first time to vote this time, vote Labour, because believe you me, they'll say, Oh, remember the mess that Labour left behind last time, Gordon Brown?
Yeah, and we won't remember it. Of course, it's not true. No, it was done to Gordon Brown. I mean, he didn't help. He didn't cover himself with glory, but it wasn't his fault.
He got an award too, didn't he? I forget what it was called.
An award?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you should have said.
It's a World Economy something diploma.
No doubt, yeah.
You know.
He's a genius. Anyway, Clive, I've got to go. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC. Oh, let me just remind you about my podcast. It's a good one this week. I think you'll like it. It's full of heated discussions, to say the least. It's called the Nick Abbott Habit. That's the name of the podcast. You can find it on Global Player, which is our app. It's got all of the stations that we do and many, many podcasts, in amongst which you will find mine. If you go to the podcast section and then do a search in the search bar for Nick Abbott, then the whole show will come up, but you probably don't want that because it's 3 hours long. Get the podcast, which is the best of, and that's a half an hour long. It comes out on Mondays at noon. If you don't do apps, then point your pewter at an internet near you and ask for it by name. The Nick Abbott Habit.
Hear Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Oh, right, yeah.
This message says, we just want McGiffin.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, that podcast will be coming out soon. Me and Carol McGiffin are doing a podcast called What's Your Problem? With Nick and Carol, in which we try to solve your problems. We've got 4 of them in the can, and they're just itching to be released, and it'll be any moment, just as soon as the artwork gets done. I don't know. It's that part is out of my control. But the artwork will be just magnificent. But I will tell you when that's out. It's coming out very, very shortly. And if, by the way, you want us to solve your problems, then email them to us, nickandcarol@global.com. nickandcarol@global.com. What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol coming out soon as a podcast. Peter says, this country has not been boring in the last 3 years because we have seen our democracy trashed by MPs who no longer care about people at all. Nick is a Marxist and so does not believe in democracy like the EU. Now, do you mean I don't believe in democracy like the EU, or like the EU, I don't believe in democracy? I'll assume that it's that way around. I'm a Marxist? What on earth do you mean by that? So I looked it up. Marxism is a method of socio-economic analysis that views class relations and social conflict using materialist interpretation of historical development and takes a dialectical view of social transformation. And I would align myself with that completely if I had any idea what it meant. Let's have a call in Belfast. Holly.
Hi, Nick.
Holly.
Good to talk to you. Hope you do well.
Yes, thanks.
Thing is, I was thinking about the DUP, and they're basically for a party that represents Northern Ireland, or what it seems. They are basically Bible and bins. They represent
Bible and
nothing
bins.
else. Yep.
Bins. Explain the bins
very
part.
Very religious.
Yeah,
and
too religious.
then we have a slight element of, well, obviously to keep things ticking over in Ireland or Northern Ireland. Well, I would consider it Ireland. I would consider myself Irish.
Yeah. Well, as long as you don't say anything controversial, Holly.
Controversial in what manner?
Oh, well, you know, every manner that you've just delivered it to us. All of those manners.
Yeah.
Manners A through Z.
Yep, well.
But what's the bins part?
The bins part is just ticking things over, as in the general element.
Right. How are they doing? How's that whole bins issue going, though?
Not well.
Not
bin has not been emptied for 2 or 3 weeks now, so yeah, definitely.
It must be fair overflowing, Holly.
Oh, definitely. Yep.
Unless you're one of those people
On the
that
street.
recycles to the nth degree, so that you don't actually throw anything away. Are you one of those people?
Yeah, well,
No.
I was told that they tried to put bins in my kitchen.
In your kitchen?
At one point, yes, like a lot of bins to do recycling.
Yeah.
And I have a tiny kitchen, and they wanted to take up the whole thing with a lot of bins.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine that would be upsetting, yeah. I mean, where do you put your bins? Especially if you ain't got no garden. Where do your bins go?
Well, I have one bin in my kitchen, but yeah, I go downstairs now. But the point is, the DUP are absolutely awful, and they are absolutely awful.
Yes.
And they don't stand for me at all.
Unrepresentative of in your house. Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
I get it.
Oh, of
And
course.
the best of luck with your bins. Thanks a lot,
Yeah.
Holly. The Bible and the bin people. R. Mal in Belfast, coincidentally, says, but of course Gordon Brown in 1997 gave independence of banks from political control. You need to correct yourself. I will not. He said, and then that led to the financial crisis. Gordon Brown gave independence of banks from political control. Well, you mean central banks? Well, it's quite right that central banks should be out with political control because they should not be making decisions based on political considerations. Like Donald Trump is trying to get banks or the central bank in America to lower the interest rate in order to boost the economy to make Donald Trump look better to those drooling hayseeds and yeehaws that go to his safe space rally. Plus, if the interest rates are lowered, it would coincidentally mean that Donald Trump would be paying less interest on the hundreds of millions of dollars that he has borrowed against his properties.
I make $400 million a year, so what difference does it make?
I bet he's worth zero. I bet if you add it all up, he's actually worth zero or less than zero. Everything is less than zero. Rover tweets, why is it that in your Nick Abbot Habit podcast is never in the expected date order? What? Why is it that your Nick Abbot Habit podcast is never in the expected date order? Old and new are mixed, it drives me mad. Well, I don't know where you're finding it, Rover, because every time I've looked at it to check that it's still there, the newest one is at the top. It's here, there, and everywhere, baby. I don't know where you are searching. Maybe on our app. Is our app out of date order?
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't
Well,
be
it shouldn't be. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah, maybe his phone.
Yeah, it's your phone, Rover. Best thing if your phone puts things in an unexpected order is to dunk it in a bucket of water for 3-4 minutes. And that is the official advice of LBC. Just in case, don't do that. Terry in Barking says, rumours arrive that Johnson is sacking Cummings and is instead going to email, he's going to email me and Carol. He's going to email the podcast, what's your problem with Nick and Carol, to help solve his problems. Any idea what your advice to the floppy-head, chunky Hugh Grant tribute act would be? Yeah, give up the bread. I mean, you're putting on a lot of... And I say this with the greatest respect, but you're putting on a ton of weight there, Boris. I mean, give up your pork life, get some exercise. Actually, just give up the bread. You'll be amazed at the results. Gary says, and that is, don't pay any attention to me. I have no idea what I'm talking about on this or any other issue, I think you'll find. But if you just give up the bread, then it's one of those things that the reason why people's diets fail is because they try to lose too much weight all at once. They gain weight over a long period of time. And then they get to the point where they just can't stand it anymore and they want to lose it all immediately. But that's not how the body works, I don't think. You gained it very slowly, small increments, overeating by a little bit every day, and 2-3 years down the line, you weigh approximately the same as a planet. And if you're trying to get it all off at the same time, it's not going to work. Your body's going to say, wait a moment, what are you doing to me? But if you fool it and undereat by a small amount every day, then it just comes off slowly. And one of the reasons why diets also fail is because people give up too much of what they like. Don't give up all carbohydrates, because people like carbohydrates. They like crisps and chips and rice and pasta and all of that. So just give up one small thing that you can do without. And that thing is bread. I bet if you give up bread, and you don't even have to give up the things that you put on bread, cheese and, meat, or its vegan alternative, whatever that is. But I think you'll find that great things will come your way. You will be svelte, not straight away, not even in the medium term, not at the end of the week or anything like that, but slowly you will find that you there's less of you. But as I say, don't take my word for it. Always consult a trained professional.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello.
I am not one of your fans!
What was that about British fashion show? The Extinction Rebellion people glued their faces to something, and then what was the rest of it? We're just trying to get that information. Latest news. You heard it here second. Any ideas? He's looking. Still looking. Peering into the internet, trying to make it happen. He's using dial-up. I bet you've never experienced dial-up, have you?
I don't know what that is.
He's got no idea what it is. The opening of London's Fashion Week has been targeted by Extinction Rebellion campaigners. Protesters covered in fake blood glued themselves to the main entrance in the Strand. Is that wise? I mean, do you have to glue yourself? Can't you just chain yourself? Better. The fashion industry is one of the most polluting in the world. Well, that is actually correct. I don't think there's a single crop that takes more pesticide than cotton. Isn't that awful? I think actually coffee comes a close second. I may be wrong about that. I'm wrong about everything. But cotton is extremely bad for the planet. And the fast fashion thing is probably the most ridiculously wasteful thing that human beings are engaged in. I mean, that's silly. Fast fashion. What for? You buy some cheap piece of tat that's been sewn together by some slave in a windowless baking hot room in the Far East, working for 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, how else do you think you can get 3 T-shirts in a pack for £5? You think that the people that make it are having a nice life, but you don't care because you just felt nice because you bought it. God, it's pathetic. Buy better things and fewer of them. Fast fashion. I mean, some of those shops are having a bad time of it. I mean, you know, retail is going through a period of difficulty. Good thing too. I hope they all close. Anyway, protesters covered in fake blood glued themselves to the main entrance in the Strand. They say that the fashion industry is one of the most polluting in the world, and they're right about that. Extinction Rebellion's Belle Jacobs says the sector needs to take action now. It won't take action until we, the people, stop buying that stuff. I mean, how ridiculous is it? I mean, even Apple and the tech companies don't tell you that the thing that you just bought is out of fashion 6 months after you bought it. I mean, at least they have the decency to wait a year before they release some must-have new gadget. Pictures posted by the group on Friday morning show activists blocking the doors to the trade show venue in the Strand, while others poured buckets of fake blood around the entrance to create a bleeding red carpet. Rude. The environmental campaign movement said it was staging the so-called die-in to urge the fashion industry to tell the truth about its contribution to climate and ecological crisis. Protesters wearing white clothes with red blood stains were photographed holding hands and carrying flags, although that may have actually been one of the catwalk shows. We just don't know anymore. I mean, the ridiculous things they send those scowling models down the catwalk in is just, I mean, what are they like? That's going to be the topic from now until the end of time. What are they like? Let's have Ipswich. Hello, Gary.
Hello, Nick. How you doing?
I'm great, mate. How are you?
I'm fine. I just had 4 days away at Warner's. Lovely.
4 days away at Warner's? What's that?
Well, it's one of these no kids, and you've got to be over a certain age to really enjoy it.
Right. Okay.
So when you reach that age, you'll be able to go.
Yeah, well, I can't wait. Wouldn't that be
Instead of
marvellous?
paddling down on the east coast, Eastbourne, in amongst the stones.
You sold me on no kids. If only there was a country like that. Wouldn't that be great? Nobody allowed in this country under the age of, shall we say, 30?
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
Yes.
To be honest, everybody was respectful, and everybody had, everybody got up and danced. Everybody just had nice things to say.
They got up and danced. What, to music?
Well, they just have a joy of life.
What kind of music were they dancing to, these old people? Not that, I bet.
Well, no, there was a bit of Rolling Stones, there was a bit of Abbott, there was a bit of 60s music, you name it. We had a great cabaret act one night, a bloke called, Buzz D'Angelo, and he's a Ray Charles sort of tribute act.
Huh.
And I said to my partner, I said, if we don't like him, we can walk out and he'll never know. And and halfway through the act, this little old lady on a scooter went right across the front of the stage, and he was great. He pretended he didn't see her, and that was great.
Well, I can top that. When I was at Edinburgh Festival, this is many years ago. I went to, because I had a press pass, and it gets you into any show you like, so you can just go to anything just on the off chance that it might be good. You don't have to pay actual money, which might stop you from, going to as many shows. So I went to one thing. God, it was absolutely awful. But it was in a room that was just a lecture theatre in the university. They hire out all those rooms. And so there was no stage. Everyone was on the same level. It was just a room where they had made a stage on one side. And I'd walked in and gone to the far side of the room, which meant that after 10 minutes, I thought, I could be polite and sit here for the next hour and a half and ruin my life. It would be the worst hour and a half I've ever spent up to this point, or probably in the future. Or I could just save myself the agony and leave. But to leave, you had to actually walk across the stage. There was no way around it, because the door was on the far side of the room at the back of where the stage was. So in order to save myself an hour and a half of utter abject misery, I had to make myself a part of the show for a brief period as I exited stage left.
So, did you get a standing ovation? Did you get an encore?
I think I probably allowed others in the audience, after a respectful pause, to take the same action.
Do you know what I found up about? You said that we, the electorate, weren't intelligent enough to decide on the referendum.
Yes, that is absolutely right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking about the standard of politicians that we've got now, and I was thinking of Emily Thornberry, Diane Abbott, Oliver Letwin, that these hugely, immensely intelligent beasts in politics at the moment, and I think these are the people that we're relying on to do us great things for this country?
not just those three, hopefully, because that way chaos lies. But you would have to assume. Okay, let me put it like this, Gary. There's 650 MPs. I bet the 650 MPs have a combined average higher IQ, or any other measure of intelligence you'd like to give, than the population in general. What do you think about that?
I would actually doubt that nowadays.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on. Look.
Well, you know what? That's on us. That's our fault, because we voted them there, don't forget.
I know. Every time Emily Thornberry comes on telly, I just want to weep. She makes so many gaffes and so many mistakes. I just think, does she really know what she's talking about? And she's meant to be a trained lawyer as well.
Right.
She's got a background in law.
Well, then please retract everything that you just said.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you can say it, but you're saying it on my show.
Well, do you think she's the most intelligent that Labour have got? Surely there's more sensible people than her. Why is she the only one putting herself forward when she must be one of the most hated persons in Parliament, and they keep putting her up for television interviews, question time, anything. She's up there. She's out there. I just don't get it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, here's a good idea. Stop watching those programmes. I don't watch any of those programmes. It seems like work to me. I watch television to be amused. I like to be entertained. You know, like a child. I don't like...
Politics nowadays is entertainment.
Well, it doesn't sound like you're entertained. It sounds like it just winds you up.
It winds everybody up because they're not actually doing anything constructive.
Watching it.
You can't, because then you'll say we're not intelligent enough.
No, that has nothing to do with it. No, you can pick and choose when you attend to the news. Once the day's over, then I want to be amused. I don't mean necessarily laugh, but I just want to be taken away to somewhere else. I don't want to be sat there looking at people banging on about Brexit. Boring. No, it's a no from me. And furthermore,
no.
Yeah, for the benefit of your sanity, Gary, just say no.
No, I said yes. I wanted to leave, and I'm desperate to get out of this system so that I can bring to task the people in Parliament. Yeah. And ask them, what are they doing for the future? Because they don't seem to be doing anything.
When they said we're going to bring back control, Gary, they didn't mean and give it to you. And by you, I mean the people, not you personally. When the Conservative Party are saying, or Leavers in general are saying, we need to take back control, they don't mean take back control and give it to the people. They mean take back control and keep it for themselves.
Well, I hope the vast majority of voters in the Midlands and the North realise they are in control of our destiny, and they must stop voting as if they're living in the 1930s, the 1940s and the 1950s. They must realise we've moved on, and they must stop voting the same old. They must stop voting like their fathers did and their grandfathers did.
Well, it's easy for you to say that we don't live in the 1940s anymore. Have you been to Harrogate? Gary would have to go. But thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
This is LBC and Abbot on LBC.
Do you mind if I say a few words? Thank you.
Paul says, is it right to make fun of Donald Trump now that we have our own? Now that we've got one too? Donald Trump. We've got our own real-life breathing and snorting Donald Trump.
I would invite him to come and see the whole of London and take him round the city, except that I wouldn't want to expose Londoners to any unnecessary risk of meeting Donald Trump. I have to say, when Donald Trump says that there are parts of London that are no-go areas, I think he's betraying a quite stupefying ignorance that makes him frankly unfit to hold the office of President of the United States.
Don't sit on the fence, Boris.
I think he's betraying a quite stupefying ignorance. I think Donald Trump is clearly out of his mind.
Tom says, after Ian Dale's appearance on Question Time this week, when will you be on? Well, what date is it? It's the 13th today, so that means that I'll be on never. I'll be on never. Sarah says, I'm living in sunny Portugal and my head is still shaking with there's no help. What? I don't know. Is it worth reading that again?
No.
She says, I'm living in sunny Portugal. My head is still shaking with there's no help. Does that make sense? Even in Portugal, that doesn't make any sense. She says, after I met a loud, proud, no-idea Brexiter. My head is still shaking with there's no help. After I met a loud, proud, no-idea Brexiter. He justified his vote saying it was for his children's future. 5 weeks ago, he packed his bags and moved to Portugal. I don't get it, says Sarah. Well, that makes two of us. It is curious, by the way, that the people, the big money behind the Leave vote, they've all decided not to live here anymore. Those that aren't actively betting against our economy have left in order to spend more time not paying tax here. Yeah, we appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
Mal in Belfast says, it's not that you're wrong about everything, it's about you thinking that you're right about everything. The quandary is within your own mind. Wow, you've blown my mind. He says, and then we, your audience, get to decide within our inferior minds. It's my favourite game every week. What? Chris says Remainers will never accept the referendum result because of the liberal left conditioning agenda, which has been the norm for the last 30 plus years. Does that make any sense?
Negative.
I didn't think so. So it ain't just me. Let's have Ealing. Anthony.
Hello, Nick. Well, I want to talk about your lovely protesters with the climate change. What a great pity they were not allowed to do their drones at Heathrow Airport today.
Really?
Because we've had an absolute appalling day in Ealing, in West London today, with planes thundering every few minutes. I even heard one 5 minutes ago. And had they been allowed to put their drones out, we could have had a day free of this noise. It was particularly bad today. We don't get it every day, but we get it lots of days.
Well, I lived in Putney for 10 years, right under the flight path, and
terrible.
And they start at about 4 o'clock in the morning. That first plane that comes over at about 4 o'clock in the morning, it does sound like it's not going to make it. I think it's must be a really old plane that is cargo only. Because it just sounds like it's wheezing and may not actually make it to the runway. And that wakes you up at pretty much 4 o'clock every blooming morning. After which, every 30 seconds, pretty much on the nose, another giant plane screams by.
Stop whining.
Well, I mean, something ought to be done about basically what is an illegal airport. Heathrow is illegal. I don't know about illegal wars in Iraq. A legal airport never had any planning permission, which just sort of started after the war and grew like topsy.
Yes, that is quite right. It's the worst place for to put an airport. In fact, it's probably the worst located airport in any major city. Think of another major city that's got a worse located airport. It's just crazy that that's our biggest airport.
I absolutely agree. And, you know, I've lived in a few other European countries, so I know what you're talking about. But something ought to be done. You see, the problem is the public, and many of them have to fly from Heathrow, but a lot of flights can be had from Gatwick, which is another place I know quite well. And James O'Brien got it wrong this morning. He gets lots of things wrong, talking about going to Venice. Well, my girlfriend's in Venice at the moment. She comes from Venice. I've also lived there for short periods of time over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And the point is, you go from Gatwick. She doesn't use a cheapo airline. She uses something like Alitalia, regular airlines. And you go from Gatwick. She's never gone to Heathrow. So
what's this got to do with... I don't understand why... What's this got to do with anything? James O'Brien?
Well, James O'Brien was going on about going to Venice, but he mentioned Heathrow. Well, you don't go from Heathrow. You go.
I bet you
go
can.
From Gatwick.
Do you?
But the
really?
point is, you get a lot of flights from Gatwick. And the stupid government, they're going to put the extra runway at Heathrow.
I agree.
Well, they're absolutely appalling.
Well, this is absolutely blooming typical of it. We made a mistake to let it become our biggest, our sort of national airport in the first place.
Yeah.
As you say, it just grew organically. But compounding the mistake by allowing it to get bigger, but underlining that error is insane. Of course. Boris Johnson, I can't believe I'm about to say this, Boris Johnson was right. What? The airport should be in the Thames estuary on the east side of the capital because the prevailing winds are from the west, so it needs to land out there and then you get bussed in or squirted down a tube or whatever method they select. And Heathrow itself should be shut down and concreted. Well, it's already concrete, of course, isn't it? Maybe it should be grassed over, and it should become a park, groovy, or a technical park, yowza, or some other thing like that. Who cares? Just shut it down.
Well, I agree with you. The difference between me and these younger people, because I'm an old guy and I haven't got much time to go, I've had to put up with this. I was forced to live here for 27 years. Yeah, I became homeless 29 years ago, and I landed up in Eden, lucky to get anywhere at all. And I used to have 3 flights going over where I used to live. I moved about a year and a half ago, and I've still retained 2 of those same flights. I've got rid of 1, but it's just pretty terrible, you know. And we're not talking about planes landing, we're talking about planes taking off mainly in this area.
Yeah. Well, never mind about that.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Most people on the flight path have a jet going over them every 30 seconds. You're talking about a couple a day. Stop whining, Anthony. But anyway, mate, I've got to go. Thanks a lot. 0345 6060 973. We're still waiting for Boris Johnson to lay down in front of the diggers, by the way, because he did promise us that. He was foursquare against another runway at Heathrow, and he said he would personally lay down in front of the diggers in order to prevent such a thing happening. And when it came to a vote, he bravely ran away. I think he went to Afghanistan, didn't he? I think it was a £20,000 round trip just in order to avoid having to stand up for his principles. He said,
Here we go.
To Afghanistan. Chris says, how is it that people can't see that the reason Remainers nowadays will not accept the referendum result is the decades-long left liberal conditioning agenda which has occurred in education over the last 40 years? The left liberal conditioning agenda which has occurred in education over the last 40 years. What on earth are you talking about, Chris? How would you know? Have you been in school for 40 years? Because if so, that would explain a lot. It would explain all the capital letters in your tweet and the lack of punctuation, for instance. Christine says, hang on, Nick, have you been to Harrogate? It's a great place for people of all ages. Yes. It's an excellent place for anybody from 59 to 69. Yes, I've been to Harrogate. I've eaten at Betty's. I've had one of their cakes. Lovely it was. It was blooming freezing in there, though. They should turn the air conditioning down. I don't know if it's still an issue up there, but, God, it was... you needed your hat, coat, scarf and gloves just to sit in there. Sat in like an Arctic gale I was. Mike says, Brexiters treat the referendum result like a child playing a game of FIFA. I won and you lost. Who cares? Stop moaning. No match, no rematch. I win forever. It does. It doesn't grate on me. It sort of amuses me in a sad way. It's a little bit happy. It's a little bit sad when people say you lost. Get over it, because I think, well, I probably didn't lose as much as you are losing. I mean, we've all lost, but it's those without that will lose the most because they have the most to lose, as a percentage of their overall income. their overall assets. And this Yellowhammer thing came out, and people are bleating on about how, it's there'll be food shortages and medicine shortages and caring shortages and all of the rest of it, and it's going to significantly impact the poorer the most. And this may be bad of me to think this way, but I think that, well, those are the people that voted out, so it's kind of poetic justice, don't you think? You won, get over it. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC. Look at the time. It's 11:30. The news headlines with Serena Farrow.
David. On LBC, call 0345 6060 973.
And I like him. He's a good man. He is not a racist. I can tell you that. He's a good person.
Thanks, Donny. You're the best. The Bulgarian Football Union, like you just heard in the new news, has described Gareth. I didn't realise before how difficult that is to say. Gareth Southgate. You try it.
Gareth Southgate.
See? Smart Alec. The Bulgarian Football Union, I don't know if you've heard of this, has described that, Gareth Southgate's racism concerns are groundless, inappropriate and unnecessary, says the Bulgarian Football Union about Gareth Southgate's racism concerns. Speaking in the wake of an alleged incident during his England side's Euro 2020 qualifying win over Bulgaria last weekend, what was the final score there? I gave up after it was like 5-1.
Yeah, I think it was 5-1 is what it ended up.
Really? So the whole of the second half had no goals in it?
Let me do my...
I don't really care. I think most of the people on the pitch didn't care that much after the first half either. Oh, when will this be over? They thought. England-Bulgaria was 4-0. England-Kosovo was 5-3. Huh. So the second half might have been all right-ish. Anyway, we'll bathe in the glory of those predicted wins until we come up against some stiff opposition, and then we'll fall flat on our faces.
Oh, no.
As usual. Anyway, speaking in the wake of the alleged incident during his England side's Euro 2020 qualifying win over Bulgaria. Is he still wearing a waistcoat, by the way? Is he still affecting that?
He loves the waistcoat.
Oh, crying out loud. Speaking in the wake of an alleged incident during his England side's Euro 2020 qualifying win over Bulgaria last weekend, manager Southgate said racist abuse was a concern ahead of the return game in Sofia next month. But the Bulgarian football BFS, what does that mean?
I assume society, Bulgarian Football Society.
No. I think it's probably a typo. The BFU has written to the UEFA and Southgate and the FA to express its unhappiness at his comments. They're not disappointed, they're just unhappy. Southgate's words came in the wake of Raheem Sterling being the target of alleged abuse at Wembley last Saturday. The PA news agency understands that the 24-year-old, a key figure in the fight against racism, was the focus of discriminatory language during the first half. What happened in the second half? The crowd changed its mind. They had a revelation. A steward heard the individual in the Bulgaria section of the crowd, and they were ejected from Wembley and handed to the police before being released with no further action. That'll teach them. So the Bulgarian Football Union has described Gareth Southgate's racism concerns as groundless, inappropriate and unnecessary, but probably true. Well, we'll find out, I suppose. And it's not because Bulgarians are racist, it's because human beings are racist. And when you're in a football crowd, you have a certain anonymity. There's also a certain animalistic streak about a football crowd, and you feel emboldened to express your innermost ire and angst. Kick racism out of football, you might as well try kicking stupidity out of football. Oh, well, the lad's done great, and it's all credit to the lads, and the manager's fantastic, and it's all credit to the manager, and the fans have been great, and it's all credit to the fans. And it's all credited to the managers and the fans and the lads. Manchester, hello, Ed. Is there anybody
hello.
out there? Yes, Ed.
Originally, I was calling because...
Ed, please speak directly into the phone.
Hi. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, no, originally I was ringing up to talk about Cameron, but then over the course of the evening...
Intervening period.
It's been quite clear to see your bias, like, ooze out into your callers.
My bias? Oozing?
Yeah.
Yeah, my bias has been oozing out.
It has. You've been playing sound effects of our Prime Minister, like, being an idiot and calling him obese. I mean, he's already got Parliament against him.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Wait a minute.
I know. How disrespectful.
No, it's just like he's trying... We're in the middle of this massive political crisis, and you're the...
Oh, I see. It's my fault.
I'm not saying it's your fault, but just because you're on, like, you've not got, like, a peak hour show doesn't mean you can't be biased.
Are you biased, Ed?
No, I didn't vote in the referendum.
So you're not biased?
No, I didn't vote either way.
But to say that you're not biased means you haven't thought about anything. Do you have an opinion on anything?
I've got an opinion on...
Well, that makes you biased, then. Why should I be any different to you? What is this call about?
Because you've got a large following.
Did you call up to Nigel Farage and complain that he was biased, or because you agree with everything he says, that means he isn't biased? The amount of times that I've heard this. Oh, why can't he be like Nigel Farage? He isn't biased at all. Meaning, I agree with everything that he says.
I'm a nutcase.
Biased. I sit here and give my perfectly reasonable opinions, and then I'm subjected to abuse for 3 hours a day. Twice a week, by people who are calling up and calling me a stupid moron, for instance. Meaning that they are biased against me. I may be biased, but this show ain't biased. I'd say 90% of the calls I get are telling me that I've got this wrong and that wrong, and furthermore, I should be thrashed to within an inch of my life. Of course I'm biased. Ridiculous thing to say. Everyone is biased that has thought about something for even a moment. Let's have Selzy in beautiful downtown Hampshire. Justine.
Morning. Sorry, Nick, it's West Sussex.
West Sussex? If only I'd known.
You've really had a hard evening this evening, haven't you?
It's been just great at my end, Justine.
Nick, it's just a couple of points. One of your callers was talking about Boris Island Airport.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make a couple of comments that Heathrow gets slated when there's a fog problem.
Yeah.
Because of all the flight stopping.
Isn't that ridiculous? In a modern world that they can't take off or land with a light mist.
Well, firstly, if it was in the Thames estuary, you'd have a damn sight more fog there.
Well, I don't see what fog has to do with landing or letting a plane take off. It's all done by a computer now.
Affirmative.
Okay, but you have to have a bigger spacing due to errors, because the pilots, once they land, get the front wheels down on the runway, have to get off the runway within a certain length of time, ready for the next aircraft.
Well, that's why you need a purpose-built airport out in the estuary, and planes can land and taxi about and do whatever they blooming well like. They could form a conga line, for all I care.
And the other problem, Nick...
What do you mean, no? Yes, they could.
No, it'd be far too foggy.
Nonsense.
And the other thing is, one of the top top 3 risks for aircraft is birds.
I knew you were going to say that. Well, then birds should be dealt with. We can do with a few fewer birds, no problem.
And one other thing for you, Nick, the flights, the earliest flight comes in at 4:30 in the morning, which is the long distance Hong Kong. And
I think there's a cargo plane that comes in before that, because
no cargo flights.
Don't know me, Justine. I used to live under the flight path.
I used to be one of the managers on the airfield.
Well, so it's your fault.
Yes, it used to be. But no cargo flights are allowed to fly outside between 11:29 at night and 6 in the morning.
Well,
And
4
even
o'clock, 6 o'clock, it's all the middle of the night to me.
I know, but I don't hear it anymore because I'm in sunny Selby.
Wow.
Well, it's dark just now, obviously.
Yeah. Ain't you lucky?
Yes, but I just thought it wasn't. It was just a comment, not an opinion or anything. Just interested.
Wow, it seems like I've been slathered with opinions, Justine, in the last couple of minutes I've been speaking to you. Just a thought, not an opinion.
But at least it's a knowledgeable opinion then.
Well, then, if you should have said that right at the beginning, and then I'd have cut you off straight away. We don't need your so-called facts, ma'am.
Well, and Nick, it's an absolute pleasure to listen to you in the evening, and just keep it going.
I'll do my best. Thanks a lot, Justine. 0345 6060 973. Let me remind you about my podcast. It's called The Nick Abbot Habit. It's the best of this show, concentrating into 30 amusing minutes. I think you'll love it. You can find it on our app. Download Global Player from your app store, and in amongst all the radio stations that we do, there is also a plethora of podcasts. If you do a search in the podcast section for my name, then two things come up. One is the whole of the show, and you don't want that because it will take you hours to listen to. And the other is the concentrated best of, which is called the Nick Abbot Habit. That's the one you want to listen to. If you don't do it by apps, then you can just point your computer at an internet near you and ask for it by name. The Nick Abbot Habit.
LBC. At Cathay. This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Hang about, Nick. Listen. Now, what I'm trying to say to you is this, Nick, right?
Nick says the big Northern Ireland issue the DUP did was fortnightly bin collections. It was written in the Old Testament. Fortnightly bin collections. It's what Jesus would want. Thomas says, Good evening, Nick. You say people that voted out were not clever. Well, I got a degree at St Edmund's University. Ramonas are bad losers. Do you mean St Edmund's College? I think your story is unravelling there, Thomas, being as you don't even know where you went to study. And you spelt well, W-E-L. Never mind, better luck next time. Squid tweets. They wanted... and by the way, I didn't say that people who voted out were not clever. I said all of us aren't clever. Certainly not clever enough to figure out such a complicated issue as this. But people with giant chips on their shoulders do start chucking their toys out of the pram as soon as they hear something that they imagine is an insult. Squid says... They wanted to take control of their laws, money and borders. The Parliament can't make laws because it's been prorogued. The pound has tanked since the referendum. And the UK wants to leave their only land border open. Well, that's true. That is absolutely true. I think that's a hole-in-one there, Squid. And Susie says, if you were told that you had to stop eating or drinking something forever, what would it be? Mine would be coffee. Coffee? You'd give up drugs? No, I couldn't give up coffee. I mean, think of the headache. Bread. I could give up bread. I mean, I like bread, but I haven't eaten any in a good long while. And I look at the svelte physique on me, eh? Hugh says, biased Nick, come on, you're always knocking the chosen one for a start. Yeah, he's the chosen one.
Everything that I've done is 100% proper. That's what I do, is I do things proper.
He does things proper in 100% of all cases. Believe him.
Believe me. 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 Okay.
Niall says, don't like noise. Don't live near a flipping airport. Who was there first? An absolutely stupid thing to say. Just, who was there first? God, what are we all 5 years old now? It was there first, therefore it must always be there. That's about the most asinine thing that anybody has ever said about Heathrow. And that appears to be the argument for keeping it there, because it's been there before. It was there before you were there. I mean, come on. OK, well, how about this? London was there before Heathrow was there. And nobody in London, when it was being built, thought that they would have screaming jets flying over it every 30 seconds. So if you really want to go down that avenue, then I think I win. Chris says, why does this guy think you should be impartial? You're not on the BBC, it's an opinions radio show. What an idiot, says Chris. I love it when the listeners start picking fights with each other. Yeah, this ain't the BBC, it's LBC. Opinionated Talk Radio. That's what we're doing here. I mean, we got Nigel Farage on the air, for crying out loud. Do you think that he doesn't have opinions? He's a giant nodding head of opinions. Nothing, he says, is not an opinion.
I'm a nutcase.
Kaz says, by the way, we in Blackpool can't wait for the twins Farage and Boris to come up with their charismatic, non-political personalities to charm the pants of us. What? Do you actually read any of these before you give them to me to read on the air? So, no then.
Well,
Yes, no. Nick, by the way, we in Blackpool can't wait for the twins Farage and Boris to come up with their charismatic, non-political personalities to charm the pants of us. We are desperate to hear truth, says Kaz. Well, some of that made sense. Chislehurst, hello, Ross.
Hi, Nick. I just wanted to add, I think people who are against Heathrow or any expansion of any airport don't take into account that airplanes are becoming a lot more efficient. So there's the Boeing Dreamliner, which is about 30% fewer CO2 emissions that come from it, and 50% less noise pollution as well.
Oh, yeah, sure. There's the same people who said it's less noise as told us that Concorde is virtually whisper quiet. You had to, the whole of the southeast of England had to stop talking when Concorde used to go over.
Well, that wouldn't be a bad thing, but I think it's... Well, I don't think Concorde was ever made to be quiet, though. It was made to be fast.
They told us that it was quiet.
Well, no, it was faster than the speed of... It was faster than the speed of sound.
Yes, I'm aware of that, but in order to overcome complaints, they told us that it was going to be quiet, and they lied about that.
Yeah, but for the people on the plane, it was quiet. And those are the people that really matter, the people who could afford to actually get on the plane to begin with. I think, like...
The only people that matter in your furious crimson world are rich. Did you just say that?
Oh no, I didn't mean to say that. But yeah, I guess so. I mean,
and it doesn't matter how efficient they are and how whisper quiet they are. It don't make never mind, because they'll all have to fly over tens of millions of people concentrated into London. That doesn't sound like a great step forward in airline safety to me.
But like in 50 years' time, you can imagine that airplanes will be a lot more efficient than they are now.
Oh yeah, and sure, and they'll be invisible too.
I mean, probably, you never know. You know, things advance, right?
I tell you what would make I tell you what would make them quiet is not having them fly over London at all. Have them fly over the east, east of the back end of nowhere, flying over water to land on, if we must call it a Boris Island. I don't really care. Just get it built.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that seems very like sort of little England to me, though. No, very little England.
Opposite. How is that little England?
We don't want anyone to come here. We don't want any airplanes coming anywhere near us.
Are you listening to what I'm saying? Build a bigger, more efficient airport out in the estuary. You can build it twice as big. You can have twice as many planes coming here.
Okay, so the actual emissions from the planes don't actually matter. It's the noise.
I thought you just told me that they were going to be so efficient and unpolluting that you'd be able to actually huff the air that comes out of their exhaust pipes.
I mean, you know, sure, why not? I don't know. Like, we're already doing that anyway. All the things that we're breathing, all this stuff, all the time. So.
Yeah, I agree with you, but you can't stop people from flying, but you can make planes more efficient, and you can land them in a better place and prevent them flying over the whole of London. That is absolutely true.
What would we do with Heathrow and Stansted and Gatwick and Luton and all those
I
other
don't mind
airports.
about Stansted and Gatwick and Luton. Those all can stay exactly where they are. But Heathrow has got to go. And what you do with Heathrow is you make it into a tech park or a park. You could rehouse all the ducks that are going to be discombobulated by the planes flying into the estuary. You could stick them up Heathrow.
But what about the underground? It goes all the way to Heathrow. That's nice.
Well, then that should be, if it's a tech park, then that would be an excellent, the transport's already sorted. You could put Google out there and Facebook and all of those people.
So for the rich, see? You're just looking out for the rich.
Okay, not Google and Facebook. They've taken over King's Cross. How about I don't know? You could put it and make it a startups park.
Let's just give them our data instead of having to deal with the noise. We'll just let them take all our data.
Yeah, they've got it already, Ross. They know more about you than you know about you. Believe me.
Yeah.
And they're appalled, frankly. You want to check yourself, mate. All right.
Don't underestimate how appalled I am by myself.
Yeah, well, I can imagine. All right, thanks a lot, Ross. 0345 6060 973. Richie in Sutton says, Nick, are you on Instagram? Let me think about that.
No.
I've never actually seen Instagram. What's Instagram like?
Just pictures and videos, really.
Right, see, exactly. You're not missing anything. Pictures and videos. Nobody ever saw anything remotely interesting in a picture or a video. You know, apart from if it's a pussycat or a puppy dog. So cute. No, I'm not on Instagram. I'm barely on Twitter or Facebook. I'm a very bad social media person. I should be much, much more active. But there's the issue I have is I can't be bothered. I know. It's not like I do anything else during the course of the week. I mean, I work 6 hours a week. Flat out. So I just don't have the time to engage in Twitter and Facebook. But for every now and again, I'll have an eruption of activity lasting about 5 minutes, and then I have to I'll fall back in a sweat and have to recover. But one thing I do not do, absolutely, is read any messages on Twitter and Facebook, and neither should anybody else, by the way. Well, every time I open Twitter, it's the demented orange numpty from the White House that is just filling it up with his stupidity.
I'm president! Can you believe it?
No, we're still stunned. Going on and on and on about how suited he is to the role.
But I have a strong temperament, and it's a very good temperament, and it's a very in-control temperament. I have a very strong temperament, but I have a temperament that's totally under control.
Said the least in-control person on earth. Hey, did you see that story about Melania's coat? I might come to that in a minute. And he fired his most warlike advisor, saying that he wasn't warlike enough. We thought John Bolton was trying to take America to war, and Donnie was rowing back, digging his heels in, saying, hell no, I won't go. You know, just like digging his heel spurs into the ground. But apparently John Bolton wasn't warlike enough for our Donnie.
I'll bring us into war.
We're doomed.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
This is absolute tosh.
Think you're talking to?
Let's see. I'm talking to Alexandra in Sunbury, wherever that is.
Hello, well, it's near Heathrow, actually. Thank
is
you.
It?
Yes. I'm just calling in response to your last caller, actually, because he wound me up.
Yes.
Quite a bit, because I mean, I grew up around Twickenham, and then my boyfriend had a flat in Isleworth, and the guy before was going on and on about efficiencies with aeroplanes, but I mean, there was large parts of the day where you couldn't speak to each other because the planes were going over your head.
Yeah.
And I remember Concorde growing up, and it made the house shake.
Yeah.
And my parents did not sign up to that when they moved to that house.
They lied to us by when they introduced Concorde. They lied to us by telling us that it was the quietest thing that you've ever heard outside of pin dropping, And that was just flat out not true. It was one of, if not the loudest thing that human beings have ever made, with the possible exception of The Who.
Rock and roll!
I mean, my birthdays, the whole, all the kids used to have to, just sit there and wait for the plane to go over, because you heard it before you saw it.
Yeah.
Was the problem. But then also, so I've now moved to Sunbury, which is near Staines, which is along
Staines?
the riverside.
Ugh.
Staines. Yeah, no, actually, well, we're quite close to Kingston. But it's a really nice village along the River Thames.
Yes.
And the Heathrow expansion is not a good thing for us, because then it means that we are now going to have more flight paths over our house.
It's insane.
That were never there.
It's
when we bought the
reiterating, it's just underlining and reinforcing the original mistake.
Yeah, so your previous caller is just talking a load of nonsense.
Well, you don't want to listen to him, Alexandra.
Because all he cares about is the holidays he's going on, not the communities that it's affecting around here.
Holidays?
Especially not Stipson.
I can only dream of going on a holiday.
Oh, well, me too.
On a plane somewhere else. Wouldn't that be marvellous?
Well, what's wrong with Cornwall?
Well, it's too far away.
Oh, no. Oh, it's easier to get to Cornwall than it is to get to Greece.
No, that's not true. I bet it takes longer to get to Cornwall than it does to get to Greece.
Well, it's
door to door.
5.5 hours from here.
To Cornwall.
Door to door.
To Cornwall. Yeah, exactly. 5.5 hours. Isn't that ridiculous? In this tiny country, it takes 5.5 hours.
By the time you've factored in getting from here to Gatwick, you've spent your time in the airport.
Well, you don't want to go to Gatwick from where you are, Alexandra. You want to go to Heathrow.
I know, but I want to save my £600. Thank you very much.
Right, well, that's another issue entirely. We're talking about distance and times for getting there. Cornwall is, I'd like to go to Cornwall, but it's just too far. It just takes too long to get there.
Yeah, but you can't afford to get a flight to Greece from Heathrow.
I bet it's cheaper. I bet it's cheaper to go to Greece from Heathrow than it is to get the train from London to Cornwall.
No, so my holiday this May, we went to Zante, and to get a flight from Heathrow was £1,400.
Rubbish.
To get a flight from Gatwick...
From Heathrow to Greece is £1,400. Well, what class of passenger are you?
It was Thomson. So the whole package holiday...
Oh, the package? Well, that's not the flight.
Well, no, it added an extra £1,400 for the flight to go from Heathrow.
Rubbish.
Yeah, it did.
Nonsense.
It 100% did.
You're talking rubbish, woman.
And that is why we went to Gatwick. and that
£1,400 extra to go from Heathrow. I don't believe a word of it.
For two people, it was an extra £700
Nonsense.
to go from Heathrow. It was.
Now, wait a minute. Okay, so now you've halved it. It was £700 each.
£700 each, £1,400 in total.
Right, well, I didn't know we were talking about two people, but even then, I just can't. What do I know? You might like going on holidays on your own.
Well, I do like holidays on my own, but I'm all for being able to travel around, but it's not just Heathrow in the UK anymore. It's not just Heathrow in London anymore. You've got Luton, you've got Southend. You've got Gatwick.
Southend?
Stansted. Southend goes quite a few destinations in Europe, actually.
What, anywhere that anybody want to go? No.
Yeah, it does. It goes to Barcelona.
Does it?
Yeah,
right.
It does.
Well, the thing is, if you get if you have a round trip from Southend to Barcelona, the unfortunate part is once you leave Barcelona, you're back in Southend.
Oh no!
Can you imagine the disappointment?
That is the problem.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my mum does have to go home.
Right. I see, and I'm lost again. But anyway, I appreciate you sharing all of your holiday details with us, Alexandra, even the ones that we weren't interested in. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. This says Cameron has come out of the shed to promote his new book, How to Ruin a Country. That's what it should be called. How to Ruin a Country in 1 easy lesson.
I think this is nonsense.
Tom says, your glamorous assistant sounds like the ERG's Sir Bill Cash. Andy the truck driver says, I'm annoyed at the way Boris gets no credit for the things that he wanted to introduce because of the blinkered lefty agenda. What? As you said, the Boris Island airport made perfect sense, as did the Garden Bridge to help beat London's pollution problem. Ask the eco-warriors, and as does introducing an £80,000 20% tax limit to help hard-working people like myself. How was the Garden Bridge going to help beat London's pollution problem? What has that got to do with anything? Garden Bridge wasn't there to beat London's pollution problem. The two have nothing in common with each other. It was just going to be an amusing place to hang out, if indeed you were going to be allowed to hang out there and you weren't just ushered straight across on a timed ticket basis. But I was looking forward to that. Hanging out on the bridge, in amongst the foliage. But £80,000 for a 20% tax limit, that's just nonsense. Don't be daft, lad. What are you going to do? I mean, people who make money, and it seems the more money you make, the less inclined you are to want to pay any tax. They just obsess about paying less tax. The more money you make, the less you want to pay any tax. And I've said this before, it's not the amount of tax that people pay, which is reason enough not to introduce a flat tax rate, because it won't make any difference. If you earn £10 million a year and the tax rate was 10%, well, 10%, who could possibly complain about paying 10% tax? Apart from the person who earns £10 million a year, because you have to write a cheque for £1 million. No one's going to do that voluntarily. So it doesn't matter if it's 10% or 20% or 15%. Never mind. People are still. The more people earn, the less inclined they want to be. The less inclined they will be to pay tax. But the thing is, what are you going to do with that extra money? I mean, so you save, say, £1,000 a year. Say you're earning 50 grand a year and you save £1,000 a year. What are you going to do with that extra £1,000? I'll tell you what you'll do with it. You'll buy a frothy coffee every day. You'll treat yourself, because it's nice. You'll ask for a frothy coffee with cream squirted all over it. And that'll cost you £1,000 a year. With an odd a treat every now and again, you'll get yourself a muffin. And by the end of the year, you'll be £1,000 lighter and about 16 actual pounds heavier. Or you could give that £1,000 to Her Majesty's government. And they could use that to, I don't know, increase the care for the elderly and the destitute and the people who have fallen through the cracks. They could increase the amount of doctors and nurses that can see you on the NHS. They'll increase the amount of times they come and collect your blooming bins to make you stop complaining about it.
Stop whining.
All of these things, which would add up to a happier people. Buying yourself a frothy coffee every day for a year will not make you happier. It won't. But a more equitable society, taking the money from the many and spreading it about in the way that only central government can do, that does make for a happier country. Not in my imagination, not in some glorious socialist nirvana, in a place like Denmark, for instance, and Sweden. You know, the perfect 6-foot blonde people. That's what they do, with the result that they have increased levels of HAPPY-ness. Let's have Woolwich. Jonathan. An ecstasy of fumbling. Yes, Jonathan. I think he's just cut himself off. Yes, here we go.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
I was just phoning up what you said about the Boris Islands.
Oh, yes.
I completely agree with you. Planes shouldn't be flying over the country. We should be putting airports at the edge.
Correct.
Less pollution, less noise, less chance for any terrorist attacks.
Yes.
I mean, What's the problem?
I don't know. Well, the problem is that they've spent so much money on the gradual increasing in size of Heathrow, and so much vested interest is dependent on it staying there and continuing to grow. But it's just underlining and exacerbating a previously existing problem.
Yeah, and there's probably a number of these MPs that are voting about it and discussing it that have shares in it.
Well, that may or may not be true. I would be surprised if it wasn't, but you just don't know.
No, but first time I've phoned into your show, and you're talking great sense.
All right, thanks a lot, Jonathan. Cheers, mate. 0345. A satisfied customer. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, you're wasting your life.
LBC. Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
So they opened their big mouths and out came talk. Talk.
This says, I am glad to see that you've got some of Carol's effects back.
Oh, right, yeah.
He says, I remember this from being a teenager.
Oh, right, yeah.
What you're saying about the airport is totally true. How do you not understand why people complain about the aircraft when they live so close to the flight path? It just seems totally silly to me, but that is my opinion, not fact. Keep up the good show.
No.
I was quite glad to find these old sound effects because there's some words that I used to use, like Carol saying, in another place. I used to play all of these.
Yeah.
And they still make me laugh. And some words I do hear in my head her saying them when I'm either thinking them or saying them. Like, for instance,
booze
is prime among them. She is proper funny. Of course, she's completely wrong about everything, and that is why I am here to set her straight in our new podcast, which is called What Is Your Problem with Nick and Carol, where we try to solve people's problems. And if you would like Nick and Carol to solve your problem, then you'll have to tell us what it is, otherwise we won't know. And the address is nickandcarol@global.com if you want us to solve your problems in a future podcast, which will be available on an internet near you soon. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? The address is nickandcarol@global.com. Tell us what your problem is, and then we'll solve it. Let's have a call in Bloomsbury. Sophia.
Good morning, Nick.
Yes,
I
Sophia.
hope you're well.
No.
No, I thought not, but I'm
What?
sure you'll be better soon. It's about Cameron, really, because
David Cameron.
He's getting sleepless nights about the referendum, and so that he's gone undeterred. Now that there are no MPs around, not only to suggest that we might have another one, but also to trot out his autobiography. And so it does seem to be rather a lot. But I'm glad that we have achieved the fact that with the lapdog reference to Trump, that he backed out of one important meeting at Camp David, and we got rid of John Bollinger.
How do you know all of this?
I hear it on the radio.
Oh, right, the radio.
And I was studying these things anyway. It's just that he sent the heat bombs through into Iraq. And
John Bollinger?
Yes.
Maybe that's what you're on at the moment, Sophia. You mean John Bolton?
Sorry, John Bolton, that's right. Thank you for correcting me. But he did send heat bombs in. America's idea of a defense is to attack.
Attack, yes.
Yeah, and so the heat bombs were absolutely horrible, and I'm glad he's gone. You wanted me to tell you about what Sejan thought.
I didn't.
You said so anyway, what Sejan's thought about Priti Patel, and you said if it ends in Y, then it's not an adjective. It ends in I, it's not an adjective, and he said he agreed with you after that.
I've got no idea what you're talking about, Sophia.
Oh, well, you did refer to it. Anyway, my novel, he bought my novel. And,
Who did? Who bought it?
Bought my novel.
Who did?
Sejan.
Who's that?
It's just the person comes up with shopping once a week, and
well, how am I supposed to know who he is? You just changed the subjects, like you just pivoted on a sixpence, Sophia.
Well, he listens to you every week.
Well, how am I supposed to know that?
Well, I've told you now, so he does.
Well, I'll forget it instantly. This phone call is over. In fact, I've forgotten it now.
Anyway, he wants a copy of my novel.
Well,
and my favourite.
He can whistle for it, can't he?
He has got it. He got it off Amazon.
Well, like I said, great success.
My favourite character is the first
we're
one.
not
later on, I think I like
remotely
someone
interested.
better.
Okay, but listen, thanks for that, and all the best. Was that an advert?
Yes.
I think it was an advert. So I got out of that just in time. In fact, not a moment too soon. Dilwyn says the idea of Nigel Farage's idea that the Tories should make a deal with the Brexit Party really confirms that the lunatics have taken over, says Dilwyn, if indeed that is your name. The lunatics have taken over.
We are thick, we are stupid.
Gary in Swindon says, what would you prefer, a Corbyn government or no deal? Well, a Corbyn government, why not? Let's have a government run by the bearded Beelzebub. I mean, the things that he says, people paint as though they were insane. And yet, if you heard somebody else say it, you might think, yes, well, that's a very reasonable thing to say. That's quite right. But then if you tell that very same person that it wasn't somebody else, it was actually Jeremy Corbyn that said it, they'll say, we've been conditioned by the press to take on board anything that comes out of his mouth as being borderline insane. But he seems perfectly reasonable to me about most of the things that he says. It's and that people who are doing the least well in society, that they back up the status quo, they and refuse to countenance a change that might benefit them materially, just seems, I just don't get it. It's just mystifying to me. I really don't understand. You see it in the comment section of the Daily Mail, which I read way too much, but it is instructive, and it does make you think, gosh, you know, these people are not only have access to a computer, but they probably have access to a voting booth, which explains a lot. They're voting. Oh, no. It also is entirely possible that they're reproducing. Pietro says, Nick and Carol podcast is never arriving. It's just a made-up lie like Trump. I want it now. I'm fed up of waiting, says Pietro. Well, we've done 4, and they're ready to go. We're now waiting for the artwork, because you can't just put it out with nothing, with a blank, because people won't know what it is. So I'm expecting it to be out this month, and I will alert you when it is, because it is amusing. Daniel says, just been watching a bit of CNN, and apparently Donny is considering logging and drilling for oil in one of Alaska's wildlife refuges. Good for the environment is Donny, that's for sure. Donald Trump is a giant orange idiot, unless that is a disrespectful thing to say, in which case I withdraw it. Yeah, Trump and the environment. Donald Trump seems to be have a thing in for nature, and if nature had done to you what it's done to him, then you'd feel that way too.
Oh, shut up!
Let's have a call in Wanstead. Sophie.
How are you, Nick?
I'm great, mate.
I've made it through 2 weeks of school, and I'm already shattered.
It's been 2 weeks already.
5 more weeks to go. That's 25 days in old money.
So, that's nothing. Most people work 5 days a week for, how many weeks are there in a year? 60? For 58 weeks a year with no time off. And what age of class do you teach?
Up to 16.
Up to 16, right. Okay, so you start at 9, you're finished at 3, you work Tuesdays and Thursdays and alternate weeks, and you get 63 weeks for a summer holiday. Hey, Sophie.
Stop whining.
We get 13 weeks holiday a year.
Exactly. Ridiculous.
The adults are running out of school before the children at home time.
Yeah, well, I can understand that.
Oh, it's just about Donny. Have you heard that he has figured out a way to solve the problem of violence in America? So he's not banning the guns, but he's banning the vaping.
Oh, that, yeah. Hey, all those vape shops, they must be freaking out, because that did initially look like something that was much safer than smoking tobacco. But if it's making teenagers' lungs look like those of an old man, then they got real problems in that industry. I mean, vape shops have opened up all over the place. It's the only shop type that is increasing in number by the day. All other shops are closing down, apart from charity shops, of course, but that's different. But vape shops, they're everywhere. And if they're actually killing people with that stuff, I mean, it's a big if, of course, it's unproven. But if that's the case, then that industry's going to fall flat in its face, like some of its customers.
The only yardstick you need to use is if you're sucking something that's producing smoke, you know it's not good.
Very bad, yeah. You don't want to put anything in your mouth and then set fire to it, for instance. That seems like a bad move.
You read a text earlier.
I did not.
It didn't make sense. Yes, you did. The one about wealthy men spend money if it's theirs, or I can't remember, but the person forgot the adverb. It didn't make sense. It was a main clause and a sub.
And a sub? Where did she go? She's gone. She left us with a main clause and a sub, and then she disappeared.
Without the adverb.
Oh, there you are.
So that was a problem, Nick.
Okay, well, don't bamboozle us with facts, Sophie. We're not remotely interested in your so-called facts. We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control.
Rock and roll! Thank you, Nick.
All right, just pay attention at the back there. Thanks a lot, Sophie. Stephen Woolwich says, Boris appears to be obsessed with bridges. On top of the Garden Bridge, in the last 2 years, he's suggested constructing bridges from Britain to both Ireland and France. Somebody should just buy him some Lego and he could build to his heart's content without interfering with the nation's affairs. Yeah, what is it about bridges, Boris? Nobody wants a bridge from here to France. I mean, how are you going to put the pylons down and have boats swerve around them? It's the busiest boating lane in the whole wide world. And putting a bridge from here to Ireland, how's that going to help? Difference does it make? I think it's all about legacy, isn't it? He wants something to plant his name on that's more permanent than rental bicycles. I mean, apart from that, what's he got? Boris bikes. What else was there? Oh, the Boris bus. That's been cancelled, even though it was an excellent bus, and by far the best double-decker bus that's on the roads, with the possible exception of the tourist route master, you know, the ye olde route master with the open back platform. If it wasn't for it spewing out both noise and pollution, that would still be the best bus that has ever been invented. But coming a close second was that Thomas Heatherwick double-decker bus that Boris supports some of. But apparently it's too expensive because we can't afford blooming anything in this country. So we ain't going to get those no more. And what else has Boris appended his name to when he was the mayor of London? Apart from the bicycles? Nothing. So he wants a bridge or an airport or anything. It's all about his place in the history books. You're not Churchill, Boris. Get over it.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
0345 6060 973. It's just past 12:30. The news headlines in LBC with Serena Farrow.
Leading Britain's conversation. LBC with Nick Abbot.
Please hold hold the line. I'm trying to connect you.
Yes, I'm trying to connect to West Hampstead. Oh, Mark?
Hi. I want Boris Johnson to be our Prime Minister.
He is our Prime Minister.
For the next 10 years, minimum.
Oh, no.
Because he is the nicest cyclist I've ever met.
What?
We all came out of he's the nicest cyclist we've ever met. These days, cyclists are really aggressive people. We came out of a restaurant, we walked in the middle of the road, he nearly crashed into us, and he stopped, and he made sure we were all right. It was really nice. He had his beanie hat on, and his thing. It was really nice. And I know why I like Trump, Johnson, and Margaret Thatcher. Why do you have all these axes to grind? Where does it come from? I'm curious. Why do you like that lot?
What lot?
Yes. I can't speak about them.
Who?
The left lot.
The left lot?
Yes. The ones who scratch my cars and park in my parking space and all this kind of thing.
Well, I am specifically against that lot. People who park in other people's parking spaces. People who park away... like if there's 3 car spaces, the morons who park in the middle... They just think, I'll leave it here because it's my right, I can do what I want. With no regard to anybody else at all, taking up 3 spaces where there should be, or really accurately taking up 2 spaces where there should be enough for 2 cars. And because they parked in the middle of it, there's only room for them. Those people should be executed with immediate effect.
Well, there's one in my place tonight with a C&D sticker. Anyways, where's all these axes you've got to grind? Where does it come from?
What are you talking about?
Well, I know why I support...
I know why you support the right, Mark, living in West Bloomin' Hampstead. It's because you're doing just fine. Well, never mind about where you were born. You didn't stay there, did you?
No,
you live in West Hampstead with the swells.
Margaret Thatcher allowed me to buy a house at 22. Ugh. And basically, I thanked her. Eventually, we met her, and I like that lot because of reasons of progression. Why do you like that?
No, you like that lot because you are now you are now doing just fine, and they are more likely to allow you to keep more of your money.
I bet if Corbyn gets in, I'll be forced to take certain element of people in my spare rooms. Forced.
What?
But that comes in a policy. He's got a secret policy where if you've got space, you will take refugees, you will take ex-prisoners, you will take...
Wow, and I thought you were borderline smart. How wrong you can be about people. I'm a terrible judge of people. Yes, that's what Jeremy Corbyn is going to do. He's going to force you to put refugees up in your spare room, because that seems likely. Oh. Yvonne says, what's your problem with Nick and Carol is not the same as what's your problem with Nick and Carol. Does the comma change the meaning, says Yvonne? Well, yes, it most certainly does. But that's why I chose that name in the first place, because it's got 2 meanings in it. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? It's borderline genius. Daniel says, just been what... oh, no, I read that. John says, didn't Boris have the London bendy bus and make them water tanks? What? And make them water... and what? Didn't Boris have the London bendy bus and them water tanks? What's a water tank?
I think he means the cannons.
Oh, the Waffen-Squirter 9000s. Yes, Boris did buy a couple of water cannon. And they were taken off him. Taken off him they were. Like ripped from him like a dummy out of a baby's mouth. And plus, just before they were coming really, really useful, I bet. People will be out on the streets celebrating Boris's munificent leadership, and he will be required to hose them off the pavements. But he'll be fresh out of luck because he hasn't got those tanks anymore. And I don't think the London bendy bus had anything to do with him. I think that was the previous incumbent. Wasn't that Ken? Wasn't it Ken? The bendy bus? Or was that Boris? Was it Boris's bendy bus?
Maybe a bit of both.
You don't know, in other words?
Yeah,
Just say that. No about hedging your bets. Just say, I don't know. Just say... Elaine says, please can you speak up a bit? There's a helicopter hovering over Holloway, and I can't hear you. I'm too cosy in bed to get up and turn the volume up on the radio. A helicopter hovering over Holloway, you say. Well, if you listen to the people that say that anybody that lives near Heathrow should stop whining about the aircraft noise, it is your fault, Elaine, for living in Holloway. You deliberately moved to a place that was quite likely to have police helicopters hovering above it because of the criminal element that lives there. It's your own blooming fault. Lucas says, I've heard Boris Johnson is planning on building a bridge to the US. It'll only cost £54 trillion. Can you confirm, please? Yes, I can. If they say it'll cost £54 trillion, it'll be £154 trillion. And won't work when they've built it. Folkestone. Hello, Dave.
Hiya, how are you doing? All right.
Good, thanks.
I just caught the news there that David Cameron is feeling terrible about Brexit.
Mm-hmm.
What a crock that is. He's got a book. He wrote a book. He wants a few quid. He's deserted the country, turned his back on the country. And now he's coming telling us he feels really bad about it. No, the right thing to do would have been to see it through, but he walked away. You know what I mean? I've got no time for him whatsoever as a politician. And
well, you could think of it in two ways. One is that the way that you just said it, but the other is that he did the right thing and left because he wanted the referendum to come out the other way. And when they voted against him, then he thought he was ill-placed to follow that through. So he did the right thing and stepped down.
No, I think he was a toe rag. What happened? What happened was the vote didn't go the way they were expecting. Him and his mate George. So they said, "Oh, we're in trouble now. We best walk away," which is what they did. The right thing to do in that circumstance was say, "Right, it's not gone our way. We don't like it, but we'll see it through because we bought it to the people. The people have spoken. We'll do our best now to carry it through."
Yeah, but Dave, you know as well as I do that what people have been bellyaching about is that MPs are not fully behind leaving, and they've been whining about, oh well, this MP is a Remainer and that MP is a Remainer, and they should all be strung up, or words to that effect. And so they're complaining from now until the end of time that would have gone on if a Remainer had continued in his position. I think he probably did the right thing and left.
Like the to and fro with all this debates, and we should be out, we should be in, we should have another vote. It's giving me an headache. It's just making my head boil. Right. I mean, what I can't understand. Answer me this one.
No.
We started negotiating apparently for an exit strategy from Europe. And we did all this wheeling and dealing with the Europeans, but somehow the Irish backstop crept up on us and took us by surprise at the last minute.
Nobody had even thought about it. No one had thought about it before the referendum.
Yeah, but do you know what? I don't believe it. I think they did. I've got a conspiracy theory that they've made a right wreck of it all. They think, flipping it, we need to get out of power. How can we do it? Because I don't think they know what to do. So they're thinking, right, what we'll do is we'll get Boris in because he's a plonker, and there's got to be an election. He'll get voted out. Someone will get in. We'll get a break from it all, and then we can come back later and say, oh, what a mess they've made. We'll put it all back together again. Do you know what I mean? I can't believe the incompetence of they're doing it. These are supposed to be highly paid, highly intelligent people who have been sent to negotiate a deal, and they miss something that's so important and say, "Oh yeah, we forgot all about that."
Well, they did forget all about. I don't think it occurred to them before the referendum. I don't think there was much thought that went into it. It occurred to everybody afterwards, and then it became an intractable problem that we've been discussing for the last 3 years, and we still haven't found a solution. And this is supposed to be the easy part. They haven't even started on a trade deal yet. We're still warring about the exit deal.
And you. Every time you turn the radio on, notice you're doing your job, but that's all you hear. But you don't hear. Every day there seems to be something else happening.
Mm-hmm.
You think you've got your head round it, and all of a sudden you haven't, because something else is happening.
I know. It makes your brain boil, don't it, Dave?
It does. It makes me. I'm getting palpitations now. I'm gonna have to have a drink.
Yeah, all right. Calm down. Deep breaths. Exactly. Yeah. Get a couple. I recommend the red ones. Oh, those red pills, they are fantastic, aren't they?
Groovy.
Yeah, send us a couple in the post if you've got any left over, all right, Dave? Thanks, mate. 0345 6060 973. Trucker Stu says, I think Boris wanted a Boris Bridge so he could play poo sticks.
Disgusting.
Now that has really taken this show down into the sewer, hasn't it? 0345 6060 973, Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
LH writes, there is far more trouble caused at Heathrow by planes circling as there isn't enough runway space than actual landings. That's why they need more runways. What do you mean by trouble? Planes circle out in the middle of nowhere, and they're so high up that they don't cause problems on the ground, even if people did live underneath the circle path or whatever they call it. That's neither here nor there. The problem caused by Heathrow is that planes have to fly over London. They have to fly over 15 million people in order to get where they're going. I mean, it's undeniable. Think of it like this. If Heathrow did not exist and we were thinking of building the nation's airport, would we put it where Heathrow is now?
No.
No, you have to be off your mind to put it there. So you're just reinforcing a mistake by increasing the numbers of runways at Heathrow. To increase the number of flights there makes no sense, other than it's what we've already done. And if we just kept doing what we've already done because we've already done it, then we'd never get anywhere. Progress would cease to exist. No, we must work towards closing it down and replacing it with a bigger and better airport out in the estuary. And so what if a couple of ducks are discombobulated? They'll get used to it, or they'll be executed. Stuart says, the bendy bus was definitely Ken Livingstone's idea to replace the old route master. Yes, stupid idea. I mean, Ken Livingstone had some great ideas, one of which was speaking of birds, removing pigeons from Trafalgar Square. Still delighted that you did that, Ken. Every time I go through that that almost featureless square, it is a delight that it's not clouds of those infested rat-like creatures like all over the place. Good work, Ken. But the bendy bus thing, they were ridiculous. The Thomas Heatherwick double-decker bus, of which there are only a few, and there will become fewer because they're not buying anymore because they're too expensive, apparently. But, things, more expensive things tend to be better. How can London, one of the richest towns on earth, probably the second, maybe or third, it's up there in the top 3 richest towns on earth that have ever existed, how can we not afford nice public transport, for crying out loud? Why does everything have to be rubbish? Tom says, can you imagine what a state we'd be in if the referendum result was 50-50? Yes, we'd be in this state. The referendum result wasn't 50-50, it was 30-30-30. Well, 33 and a third. A third of the people said yes, a third of the people said no, and a third of the people said didn't know. Patrick says David Cameron popped up once again on the political stage like something you've tried your best to push down with a worn-out loo brush. Huh. Well, thanks for that image.
Disgusting.
Speaking of things that it's difficult to get rid of, Stockton-on-Tees. Hello, Brian.
Yeah, good morning, Nick.
Brian.
You said Boris is not very welcome outside of London.
Not at all. No, they hate him outside London. They say.
But I'll tell you somebody who is.
Who?
Nigel Farage.
Nigel Farage is what?
He was 6 miles down the road, up the road from me at Sedgefield,
yeah,
a couple of nights ago.
Mm-hmm. Was he doing his man of the people routine?
I'm a nutcase.
I tell you what, it's like the new Messiah arriving. He is taken off. You had Gary phoned you earlier.
Who?
And he said Brexit lies. Gary. He said Brexit lies in what happens in the North and the Midlands. He said if they change the voting habits, they can take Brexit. You know, he said they've got to change the voting from over 40s, 50s. I've got good news for you if you're listening, Gary. They are changing. They're changing from Labour to the Brexit Party.
Mm. Yeah, well,
all
good luck with
all
that.
over the Midlands,
yeah.
Right?
You mean you?
What was that, sorry?
You just mean you.
No, I mean the North. All the North and the Midlands are changing the voting habit.
Well, you mean you are?
No, I've just told you.
Have you done a poll?
All right. This is the fourth one he's done just recently. He was on a racecourse at Sedgefield, Tony Blair's old constituency, right? And they were booing Tony Blair, ex-Prime Minister, most successful Labour Prime Minister.
Right, they were, and when Nigel Farage took to the stage, they were still booing Tony Blair.
Right? And I'm telling you, Sedgefield is a money place.
Yeah.
It's a pretty... It's not a working class place, Sedgefield.
Yeah.
There were a few bob there.
Right.
And even there for the Brexit Party.
Well, did it occur to you they might not be locals? They might have travelled from hither, thither, and yon.
Well, they might, but there was a lot of locals as well. Now, I'll tell you the situation where I am in my constituency in Stockton, Nick. Now, in the referendum, there was 71% voted. 100,000 voted in this constituency. This is a safe Labour seat. In history, always has been. They win by a landslide, Labour, in general elections. But in the referendum, 100,000 voted. What was the majority for Leave? It was a Leave. The vote to Leave.
Yes, because they were persuaded by millionaires.
By how many?
Persuaded by millionaires and billionaires that their life would be better if they just did what millionaires and billionaires wanted. And if you still buy that, then I've got a made in China Rolex watch I'd like to sell you.
Right, 100,000 voted. The percentage for Leave won 23,500. That's a lot, Nick. So,
yeah, I know, but if I told you that all you got to do is follow me and you'll be richer and healthier and wealthier, then it doesn't mean that you've made the right decision. It just means you bought my lies.
Nick, it doesn't matter. It's 23,500. Now, then, you have the general election a year later. Labour said, we will respect it. They always win Stockton. They always win this constituency by big numbers.
Okay, can we just get to the short version of this call? No, it's gone on too long already. All you're saying is that people now are full square behind Nigel Farage.
What I'm saying is this. They won by 9,000 saying that. Now they went Remain. This has not become a safe seat anymore. This could go to the Brexit Party, this seat.
Okay, and by the same measure, the Tory party are going to lose to the Liberal Democrats. So where they gain in one on one side, they'll lose on the other. What difference does it make?
Gary, if you're listening, change is coming. We are changing.
Yeah.
It's good news for you.
Well,
And
it's
I tell
very,
you what-
if you're a millionaire now, then you'll be just fine. If you're not, and you're struggling to get by, then I think that it will continue to be worse and get considerably worse.
Got nothing to do with millionaires.
On. Yes, it does. The people that are behind Brexit, the ones that aren't millionaires, are billionaires. But it's worse than that. They don't even live here, and they don't pay tax here. And the ones that did live here and pay a certain amount of tax before the referendum have, curiously, upped sticks and patriotically left to go abroad, where they don't have to pay tax at all here. And you think that those people are the ones to follow? Well, I've got a holiday home in the Bahamas I'd like to sell you, Brian. How does that sound? I know that it's enticing to believe all of those tales of heaven above, here on earth. We will lift you out of the mire and the misery of your life. Just vote for me and follow us to nirvana. Yeah, well, it doesn't exist. Actually, that's not true. It does exist, but your name's not on the list, and you're not getting in. You won. Get over it. Anyway, it's been a delight, as always, Brian, to be lectured by you. I don't need no education. 03, I don't know why I'm giving the number out, because I'm going. Oh, marvellous. How marvellous it is to be going.
Bye-bye.
Whatever happens between now and 10 o'clock this evening, we will chew it up and we'll spit it out then, eh? It just boggles my mind even contemplating it. If you stick around, I do think that Steve Allen will set you straight at 5, but right now it's Matt Stadlen.
Hey, Nick, I'm curious, very curious.
Yes,
I
you
wonder,
are.
yes,
I agree.
Well, I am also curious, but I'm curious about this, and that is whether you have ever been to a banya.
Is that in Thailand?
No, in fact, it was in Old Street. Just off Old Street. I went to a banya, Russian banya, and this was just this evening.
Yes.
Well, yesterday evening, I suppose now, but Friday the 13th, I got whipped with birch, Nick.
I would hope so.
There were lots of naked Russian men, and when I say naked, I mean naked, and I managed...
But were they wearing anything?
No, nothing at all. I was in my trunks, you'll be relieved to hear.
Ugh.
And I was then in a plunge pool, or a cold pool, an icy pool, for 8 whole minutes with my friend Nick. Nick?
Not me, though.
Not you, though. And by the way, David Cameron's
Too late.
back.
On your radio, on Global.